About the Bugera, which went down on the last session. Sorry for it looking a little messy. I had to rearrange everything. Over here we can see where my where the transformer cable was resoldered. I did this back in '09 when it failed. Here's a really wacky resistor which seems to still work even though I had to resolder it into place and do it in a very hacky way, but it works. So I'm going to test to fix this amp to find out where the loose connection is I'm going to power it up. I'm going to use this pencil, freaking colored pencil, to tap around. Problem is, this entire group of 5 tubes back here aren't lighting up. What this tells me is that the board for that one preamp tube and those 4 power tubes isn't getting any power. Which means somewhere here, there, or there, I'm suspecting something is loose, probably heat related. Without putting my light on it, the filaments aren't glowing. So let's go around in there and tap on this a little bit. Seems like I might be getting somewhere. Oh, there they go. So it seems like the problem, they started to light up. I heard a tick when I touched that, so something there isn't entirely soldered anymore. I got no problem with that. I can just put a couple support in there. I'm really betting it's that orange one that looks a little rough. And then this resistor is not making full contact. We're going to let it sit for several minutes and see what happens, because now I'm getting some light on the tubes. So right now it's just a sit and wait affair while we wait for the plates on the tubes to warm up, and then we'll play it for some time, see what happens. You can see that tube was the one that wasn't lighting up as well, which is what was telling me that it was this board here. The power tubes and the one preamp tube connect to. And we are back. I found out what is causing my tubes to go down. Let's see if we can keep it quiet enough. So if you look over here where the transformer cable is, and yes, I'm poking around inside the amp with it on. I've seen professional techs do this, except I'm using this wooden stick here, well, colored pencil. If you listen very closely to me poking on this very first yellow wire here, there is a kind of sound that's telling me that the power connection to the tubes is there's a cold solder joint there. And if I look closely enough at it and move the duct tape that I used back then, my old rednecky ways, you can kind of, I don't know, how do I get close enough on this? Maybe I can zoom in. There we go. So, I'm trying to be very careful because there's high voltages running throughout this thing right now. If you look very close there, you can see right about there that my solder joint is a little, how should I put it, a little iffy. And you can kind of see, actually I think I just heard the tubes turn off. Yeah, so I'm actually on the distortion channel right now. But what was happening was the filaments inside the tubes, which I'll see if I can point it. You can, if I didn't have my flashlight on, you could see this red glow right here. When that stops, all your sound stops. So like if you look at this tube here, which might even be visible,
Actually, let me see if I can get a good shot of it. A little bit of, up in here you'd see a little bit of red and orange, which is what I'm currently seeing, and that's what it should be. Same thing here on all my EL34s. Now how I diagnosed this initially, let me zoom back out here, get us back on the full picture. How I diagnosed this initially was I took the 12AX7 right here, which is the 12AX7C, and swapped it with this one when I saw that was still not lighting up when I changed the tube. That kind of let me know that the problem was with this board here. And the power supply section, the main thing that lets this board power up, goes from here, from in the power section. You see these two huge filter caps there. And that runs over to this cable, bridges over into that board. Well, these two connectors never have a problem. This one over here, however, is the notorious, where the notorious plastic connector it used to burn up on these early model Bugera 333s. In my case, 333XL. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do some soldering and tightening of my work, because I've become a much better soldering guy since then, and I have a much better soldering setup. So I have finished repairing the Bugera. And when you're doing camera, be very careful. Coming close over here, you see this group of wires here. So, as you guys probably remember, I resoldered this because it had the infamous Bugera clip problem where the high voltage clip would melt because it would get too hot while it was working with too much voltage, and it would just melt and then it'd stop working. So I resoldered that. My soldering connections from 5 years ago didn't take hold because I didn't take this whole board here out and actually clean up the solder joints underneath and resolder them. So this time I cleaned it up, and actually it's got really strong joints, so I think this thing should have better reliability than some Marshalls should have. Another amp. Anyway, that's pretty much all there was to it, that clip. I mean, that thing's pretty much the Achilles heel of any Bugera amplifier, at least I know the 333 series, although some of the others I know have the problem too, though Bugera fixed it in 2008. And then I'm playing the new Music Master through it. It's a little light for me.